Corazon Aquino. She was a Christian lady who participated in the fight against the brutal dictatorship of Fernando Marcos. If you did not look at the title of this video, most likely you will think that she's a Spanish or a Latin woman. The truth is, Corazon Aquino was the first female president of the Philippines, and yes, she was up against an oppressive regime. And also, she was a badass Asian auntie. And she had a Spanish name, just like everyone in the Philippines. Like Rodrigo Duterte, the president of the Philippines, Alan Pinada Lindo, that dude from Black Eyed Peas that we don't really know his name, but never mind. Before anything, stop this annoying music. Carry on. The reason behind it is colonialism. The Philippines was a Spanish colony. The Spanish self-invited into that archipelago and overstayed there for 377 years. Not only that, those guys did not pay any late checkout fees. What a cheapskate. But instead, they left their Spanish name and Christianity for spiritual guidance. Just like in every single Spanish colony or ex-Spanish colony. The question is, how much influence the Spanish had on the Philippines? If you go to today Philippines, you will notice that they don't speak Spanish, they speak Tagalog, and culturally, they are very different from Latin America countries. But if you search for street names, even states, you will notice that they sound Spanish, like Venezuela, Manila, Laguna. And also, there's a mix of Philippine and Spanish architecture, like the Manila Cathedral, that was built in 1958 under the supervision of a Philippine architect, Fernando Ocampo. They also had an entanglement with the United States of America, but it was not of major importance. And you will not be able to find any resemblance of the United States presence in the Philippines. It's not a surprise, and to be honest, the United States doesn't do well with the ex-Spanish colonies. Just look at Cuba. No, that's California. I'm talking about Cuba. The Spanish activities in that region started with the arrival of a Portuguese explorer, Fernando Magellan. He also claimed the archipelago in 1521 and named the island after King Philip II of Spain. Then they call it Las Filipinas. I suspect that the native of that region had a different opinion about the name of their home, but who cares? The exploration was so successful that the Spanish decided to expand even further. In 1571, the local Spanish government ordered the explorers to move inland. As they move in, they destroy all the settlements they found. The local might have a different opinion about the Spanish expansion, but who cares? Fast forward, the Spanish start building more settlements and then link those settlements with a network of roads and railroads and navigation roads. And also, they built churches near to marketplace. It was time to make the Philippines a Spanish home. By the 1830s, the Spanish philosophy and way of life had penetrated the Philippine culture to the extent that the Philippine people began to think about liberation from Spain, just like the United States of America and the British, and Brazil and Portugal. Anyway, the Spanish were forced out, not really forced out, more like replaced by the United States of America, because the United States of America and Spain were enemies for a short term, and the colony of your enemy is your future colony. Anyway, The story of this entanglement and the Spanish entanglement is just too long. In resume, they got independence from Spain on 12th of June of 1898, and the Baikana-Batu Agreement was signed. This agreement gave some sort of independence to the Philippine people and required one of the nationalists to leave. I'm talking about Emilio Aguinaldo. He had to leave the Philippines, which was a kinda big move. Anyway, Aguinaldo packed his stuff and exiled in Hong Kong, because there's nothing better than a Spanish colony than a British colony, just like immigrating from Mexico to the United States of America. They also got their independence from the United States of America on 4th of July of 1946. And Aguinaldo, the dude that was kicked out of the Philippines, and other nationalists designed what's today the Philippine flag. All the Philippine entanglements have something common. They all started in Manila. The Spanish took it in 1571, the Chinese invaded in 1574, and the Dutch raided that place in the mid-70s. The Brits joined the party as well, only to return to Spain in 1763. And in 1832, it was open to everyone, to all foreigner traders, but in 1898, it was taken by the United States of America. Then in 1942, it was briefly occupied by the Japanese, as if it was not occupied before. And 3 years later, the United States of America managed to take back its colony, and only to kind of return to the native people in 1946. And now, the Chinese have a new plan for that area. It's like, if you capture Manila, you capture the whole Philippines. I might make a separate video about Manila. Despite of all this mess, you can still find the vestige of Philippine colonial past, blending with the modern Philippines. And to be honest, the Philippines are building better cities without that colonial baggage. Just look at Manila City. Anyway, thanks for staying.